Welcome to another episode of Game Point. Today you're here with Daryl Green,
Travis Petty,
and we're going to dive into the world of sports. With a lot of things going on right now, I think one of the most controversial topics in the sports world is Lamar Jackson and his contract negotiation. He has still yet to agree with terms with the Baltimore Ravens, and a lot of teams who have the opportunity to offer him a contract have backed out, saying that they're good on the deal and that they don't want anything to do with Lamar Jackson getting into that negotiation. So I'm going to pass it to Travis on this one. I want to know, why hasn't Lamar Jackson gotten paid yet?
To answer your question, quite frankly, I really don't know why he hasn't got paid yet. Most quarterbacks that have done least of what he's done has gotten paid, such as Jake Delhomme, Nick O'Donnell, Blake Bortles, Ryan Tannehill, no quarterback that I think was a two-time MVP, a former Pro Bowler. No one on that level is on the level of Lamar Jackson. So I don't understand why when quarterbacks that achieve higher and they're in a color, as I would say, they don't get their money compared to other quarterbacks.
Okay, so my thing is, when I dive into the Lamar Jackson situation and I look at other quarterbacks who have gotten their money and a quarterback who's about to get his money in Jalen Hurts. So I got a couple questions for you when I look at the two and talk about this comparison. I want to know, what receiver on the Baltimore Ravens is A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith? I want to know, is Devin Duvernay A.J. Brown? No. Is Demarcus Robinson A.J. Brown? No. Is Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, or any of those guys like the weapons that these other top quarterbacks have? Isaiah Likely, I like him as a piece. But he's not. But those guys are tight ends. We look at the outside weapons. He had Hollywood Brown. He was a nice receiver, but he's not a top end receiver. He's not a featured receiver that can really be a key piece in that offense. So now, this past season had guys like Nelson Aguilar. Those type of guys, how can you expect him to win with that? And I say that, we talk about Lamar Jackson, his style of play. It can't hold up. He can't sustain it. Lamar Jackson doesn't call the plays.
No, he doesn't.
So if he's running the ball, that's what the offense is calling for him. You can't say, Lamar Jackson, go run the ball, run read option, and then you're going to tell me to stop running. That's contradictive of itself. So if we're not going to pay him because of his play style, yet we're the ones promoting this play style, I want to give you a couple numbers, though. So I look at, in 2021, the NFL went from 16 games to 17 games. So in 2018, Lamar Jackson played 16 games. In 2019, played 15. 2020 played 15 again. 2021 played 12, and 22 played 12. And we look at 2021 and 2022, missed 5 games in the past back end of both seasons. So that, I don't think it's a true cause for concern, because it's not as if he's getting major injuries. And you could say he's nicked up, things of that nature.
But it's football. You're going to get nicked up.
Exactly.
In football, you're going to get nicked up, regardless of what you're saying.
So I want to know, what do you think? Is it the weapons? What is it specifically with Lamar Jackson?
I think it's more of, back to what you were saying, most top-end wide receivers, they don't want to play with him. That's not to lessen what he's doing, but that makes him, you should pay him more off for doing that. In 2019, he threw 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Who was his number one receiver? Can't name it. You can't name it. Lamar Jackson's style of play, top 10 receivers wouldn't want to play with him, so that would just elevate him to why would you not want to pay him? Can you think about any top 5 receiver that was going to be good with getting 5 targets, 6 targets a game? No. Hollywood Brown was mad. Remember Hollywood Brown tweeted? He was saying how he was. What he said? He said, "What's the point of having soldiers when you won't use them?"
Yeah.
And that should tell you why. But I think that should elevate his play more, because he's thrown 20+ touchdowns for 4 years straight. I'm sorry, 2 years straight besides 2021, 2022. 2019, 2020, he threw 30+ touchdowns. 2022, he threw 20+ touchdowns. So I don't understand it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that it's just the weapons aren't there. I mean, that's really what it comes down to me. Because I look at Joe Burrow, I look at Patrick Mahomes, I look at Josh. I can name any quarterback. Even Geno Smith has a number one receiver.
DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant, and a running back.
But when it comes to Lamar Jackson, it's not there. And I could understand, okay, maybe $230 million. Okay, that is a bit far-fetched.
But Deshaun Watson got 200 plus, and he didn't play a year.
And that's the thing, though, because if we can say Deshaun Watson is an outlier, that means, okay, if I'm the Baltimore Ravens it's a negotiation at the end of the day. So we have to play it fair on both sides. And if you want to say, okay, that's an outlier in the market, we can't give you that. But it's reported they're $100 million apart. So you're telling me I'm good for $130 million guaranteed? That's not enough.
And here's the thing: they paid Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's not even in the same league as Lamar Jackson. Everyone knows Joe Flacco. He's a playoff quarterback. How you pay Joe Flacco but you don't play Lamar Jackson? I'm so confused on that. The Ravens, you would think they have a ton of history, mainly on defense. They've never been known as having a generational quarterback such as Lamar Jackson. So why would you not want to keep a generational talent such as Lamar Jackson when your quarterback before has been Joe Flacco, Steve McNair in his older years? Just a ton of quarterbacks that wasn't on the same level as Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, I mean, really looking at it and still, I don't understand why. And like I said, it doesn't have to be $230 million, but I think it still has to be somewhere in that range, at least $200 million, somewhere, 190, it's somewhere close to that $230 million, but it's still to be determined. They still got to figure that out. Now, going to another quarterback with some controversy, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers. And we want to know, why hasn't Aaron Rodgers been traded yet? Because he's even came on the Pat McAfee show. I don't know why, but he always wants to, let out news on the Pat McAfee show. And he's basically said the deal is all but done. He intends to play for the New York Jets, but he's still on the Green Bay Packers roster. So we're trying to figure that out. Is why hasn't the trade gone through? What do you think it is?
I think it's the Packers want the Jets' 13th overall pick in the first round. I don't think the Jets want that. I don't think the Jets want to give up a quarterback who's 38 years plus. And Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if I'm going to play this year. So why would I give up my first round pick to a team, to a franchise where the person that I'm getting back he's not guaranteed to play 5 years plus. He's going to come in. He's already making demands. He hasn't even been traded. He's making demands he wants wide receiver Allen Lazard, which the Jets went and got Allen Lazard. He wants Randall Cobb. They didn't get Randall Cobb. Instead of Randall Cobb, they went and got Mecole Hardman. He wants the blocker Mercedes Lewis. He's still making demands, and there's reports that the Jets are closing on the deal for Odell Beckham. So I think it's the fact that the Packers want the Jets' 13th overall pick in the first round. The Jets are saying, no, we're not giving that up.
Yeah, for me, I think it's real simple. It's really simple, because we get to a point, Aaron Rodgers, you're making all these demands, and you still hanging on to that MVP status. You're still hanging on to that, I got a Super Bowl, I can show you this on my resume. But if I'm looking at Aaron Rodgers last season, you can't make demands based on how you played last season. I watched in a game where you had playoff implications last game of the season and you lost to the Detroit Lions. And it's things like that, of that nature. We can even take it to the playoffs. When you came up short against San Francisco, when you came up short against Tampa Bay. And you haven't even had outstanding defenses, but your defenses have played great in those games. Yes, you lost in a game where the 49ers scored 13 points. So how do you not score more than 13 points if you're that type of guy? You can't make demands for my team. No. I mean, I want you. You're better than Zach Wilson. We lost Mike White. We need a quarterback. But you're not making demands, and I'm definitely not giving up that 13 overall pick.
And I understand the Jets have a top 5 defense. They have a top 5 defense coming in last year. If you can imagine Aaron Rodgers on that defense, on the Jets team with that top 5 defense that the Jets have last year with Quincy Williams, Sauce Gardner with that good back end in the back with C.J. Mosley with that good. The Jets have a good front seven and a great back end. All they missing is a quarterback. So I don't understand what Aaron Rodgers got going on. He's arguably a top 10 quarterback. But like I say, going into the New York media is bigger, way bigger than the Packers. If he loses 13-3 in New York, they're gonna kill him. The media is totally different compared to Wisconsin than in New York. It's the biggest media market in all of sports.
Okay, so now we heading over to the draft, a little bit of draft talk, and I want to know, what team do you think truly needs to get up in the draft and trade up for a quarterback? Because we can basically say number 1 and 2, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young's any way you want to pair that. But outside of that, Anthony Richardson and Will Levis, teams are trying to get them. So we think about the Indianapolis Colts.
Yes, sir.
What do they want to do in that situation? But either way, whoever they take, it's still going to be a 4th quarterback left in that. So I look at some of these teams, and I look at Washington, Tennessee, Detroit, Tampa Bay. what team truly needs to get a quarterback in this draft?
Autumn, to answer that question, Washington, because they just got Brissett, and they just got the Chiefs offensive coordinator, Bieniemy. And I believe the Tennessee Titans need a quarterback. They haven't had a quarterback since basically Steve McNair. And Derrick Henry's falling low. He's pushing 30 years old. He's 29 years old. He's got a lot of carries underneath his belt. He's got a lot of baggage underneath him. And in order for them to make the run that they need a quarterback. Because now, with the Tennessee Titans, when you get up on them, when you get a 2-touchdown lead or just a 2-touchdown lead or plus, they're not coming back because they don't have the weapons on the outside and they don't have the quarterback. They went into this season with Joshua Dobbs. Joshua Dobbs, the quarterback out of Tennessee. They relied on him to win the AFC South. So I believe the Tennessee Titans need a quarterback in the Indianapolis Colts and the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, for me, I think it comes down to Tampa Bay and Tennessee. Mm-hmm. But I got to go with Tennessee because that division is about to get crazy as far as quarterbacks. So you got to compete with that. You can't compete with Trevor Lawrence. You can't compete with Bryce Young, those guys in that division, if you don't have the quarterback. Mm-hmm. Derrick Henry's not going. You know, it was nice for a couple seasons. He made it to the AFC Championship, but Ryan Tannehill couldn't get it done. Mm-hmm. So now I think they need it more rather than Tampa Bay because say they have a bad season, next year's draft class, a lot of quarterbacks. Also, that division is not very good at all. Yeah. So now Tennessee has to do it because I like Mike Vrabel. I think they got some solid defensive pieces. They really had a lot of injuries last season on defense, but I think they can contend if they get a guy like a Will Levis or Anthony Richardson. That's why I think they have to, really, because that fourth quarterback spot, is Seattle going to get a quarterback? It's a lot of teams. Is Las Vegas even still trying to get a quarterback after getting Jimmy G? So I think you got to trade up. You at 11. So it's not like you're moving a bunch of picks. You don't have to give up a bunch of draft capital to get right there. So I think you're kind of in a sweet spot, in a sweet position to go up and do something like that.
But here's the thing, though, with Tennessee. Would you like to give up Derrick Henry? Do you give up Derrick Henry to get a quarterback?
I give up Derrick Henry.
You give up Derrick Henry?
Yes.
And not to mention, they went into their entire offensive line was beat down. Their former player, Blaine Bishop, said their tackles were the worst in the entire NFL. So do you want to get a quarterback or offensive lineman? Not just speaking, I'm saying they need a quarterback, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
You're saying should they go offensive line before a quarterback?
Yeah, before a quarterback.
I believe you have to go quarterback because you can find an offensive lineman. Okay. You can't find one of those, and it's especially in the top 10, top 5. Those type of quarterbacks, you don't want to be picking there every season. So I think while you have the chance to go do it, you go do it. Because who knows? Say they have a solid season. They have the 20th pick somewhere around that next year. It's going to be offensive linemen at that spot. But it's not going to be quarterbacks that are franchise changing at that spot. That's why I think they have to do it.
Especially with that defense they got with Jeffrey Simmons, those 2 big tackles, they're top 5 in stopping the run. You're not going to run the ball on that defense. So Tennessee should get a quarterback.
All right, now shifting over to the NBA. It's almost playoff time, and I want to bring out my contenders in the NBA. I think it's time to do it. Got some real good cases for some real good teams, and it's also a couple teams that I'm seeing as pretenders in the NBA. So I'm going to start off with my contenders. In the East, I have the Milwaukee Bucks, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Celtics. Now, you see the Cleveland Cavaliers, not a lot of people are saying that's a contending team in the East, but that's my dark horse. And I look at the team statistics, I look at their players. They don't score the basketball with the best players in the NBA. But I think having Donovan Mitchell being that playoff performer, you have the team who's the #1 in defensive rating. So we got Evan Mobley, we got Jarrett Allen, and surprisingly, Donovan Mitchell is on a good team with good defense because he was on the Utah Jazz, and we thought he was a defensive liability, getting spotted out in isolation and pick and roll. But that's not the case, and especially when you have 2 twin towers in the paint who can make their case for all defense in the NBA, I think that's something to be said about that. Going over to the West, simply put, I got the Memphis Grizzlies. And I understand the Phoenix Suns. You know, you could throw me the Denver Nuggets. You could throw me Golden State. But I got the Memphis Grizzlies as my team to come out in the West. I look at the Memphis Grizzlies, and I think about last season, you know, they lost to the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs after Ja Morant got hurt. So I think in a full series with 2 fully healthy teams, not to mention, Jaren Jackson has gotten his scoring average up. This is a team who still plays defense. They do it all on the basketball court, both offensively and defensively. So if the Phoenix Suns stay healthy, they make a great case. But I think the Memphis Grizzlies and those teams that I named in the East are the true contenders. What do you think?
You believe that the Grizzlies are a true contender in the West?
Yes.
Over the Nuggets?
Yes.
Over the Warriors? You think
Yes.
the Grizzlies?
Yes.
I mean, the Grizzlies?
Yes.
Over Phoenix?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I don't trust teams such as the Grizzlies. When they have a true point guard, from my seeing from their offensive set, it seems like it's a lot of high pick and roll at the top of the key with Ja Morant. You don't win championships like that.
Why don't you?
Name me a team that won a championship just with a star guard with high pick and roll.
Think about it, though.
And they got defense. Defense is good, but I don't see the Grizzlies making that push around the West.
So, okay, I understand that point. But what team do you have beating them?
The Nuggets.
The Nuggets?
I think the Nuggets can beat them. In a 7-game series, I think the Nuggets can
You
beat
think the
Grizzlies.
Nuggets can beat them?
Yes. I believe the Grizzlies will have a harder time guarding Nikola Jokic than the Nuggets, the Nuggets will have guarding Ja Morant.
Why would they? They have Jaren Jackson who can make a case for Defensive Player of the Year. So you're telling me Jaren Jackson?
You think Jaren Jackson can hold up against the 2-time MVP?
You telling me? So you don't think Jaren Jackson can stop Nikola Jokic?
Can stop him?
Yes.
Can stop him?
Yeah, Jaren Jackson
Can stop Nikola
Jaren Jackson,
Jokic?
averaging 2+ blocks.
He can stop
Yes.
Nikola Jokic.
Yes.
Nikola Jokic.
Yes, of course, Nikola Jokic, we know he's going to pass the ball. But as far as scoring, and think about it, they got those perimeter defenders. Nobody likes Dylan Brooks, but he can guard Jamal Murray. He can guard Michael Porter.
Don't forget. Nikola Jokic won the MVP with nobody on that team last year. He took, even though he lost to the Warriors, he took the Warriors to a 5-game series last year. Now he has Jamal Murray back, Aaron Gordon back, Otto Porter back. He got his weapons back. You think you think the Grizzlies can hold up against Nikola Jokic down there?
Yes.
Wow.
I look at the defense. The Grizzlies have a team built for playoff basketball. Mm-hmm. And when it comes down to it, like I said, we talk about that offense. You said high pick and roll. When that doesn't work, the offense does get kind of stagnant at times. Mm-hmm. But that's why you have a Ja Morant, a star point guard, who, when the plays aren't working, it's just not there. You're going to need Ja Morant. He's going to have to go on this run and average 30+ in the playoffs. I think he can do that.
You don't think teams are going to slow that down 30 points? Just Ja Morant on offense.
Like I said, still got Desmond Bain. The key thing about this in the offense, Jaren Jackson.
Okay.
He wasn't always the scoring threat, but this season we're seeing games 30+. We're seeing games 20+ consistently. He's averaging about 19. So he gets that done. Ja Morant's going to give you his points. Desmond Bain is going to give you his points. And then it's everybody else who's going to chip in.
Like I said before, big men win championships. Look at all the teams that win championships, big men win championships. Fives win championships. Guards don't win championships.
So you're telling okay. So you're telling me the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic,
Yes.
your 2-time MVP,
Yes.
they're a better threat than the Phoenix Suns?
Then the Phoenix Suns.
Because if it's about the big man,
Because you're saying then the Grizzlies. You said the Grizzlies. I'm saying if the Nuggets go against the Grizzlies, it's not even. No, the Grizzlies. The Nuggets will beat the Grizzlies in a 7-game series.
and you think Nikola Jokic would be the main factor of that,
In that series, yes. Because who's going to stop him?
with Jaren Jackson?
Listen, you think Jaren Jackson can hold up against him?
Yes. Jaren Jackson is one of the. I can make the case. He's the best defensive big, and I could truly make that case without even smiling, laughing. I could truly make that case.
Switch over to the East.
I can truly make that case. We can take it to the East. Who is your contender in the East?
The Bucks. I have the Bucks, the Cavs. I want to say the Sixers so bad. I really do. It was between the Sixers, but I'm gonna go with the Celtics. I'm gonna go with the same 3 as you. Giannis Antetokounmpo, best player in the league. Enough said. You have to double team him down there. They have shooters all around with Middleton, Grayson Allen, Joe Ingles. They are a well-balanced team. They play great defense. And you have with the Celtics 2-time Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. They're playing good basketball. They're still good at defense even without Ime Udoka. They're still going to play defense, and they still can score with their 2 ball handlers. And with the Cavaliers, back to what you were saying, the Cleveland Cavaliers play defense with Jarrett Allen, Jared Mobley, Donovan Mitchell. They have a good guard play, good defensive play, and they can overall play good sound defense, and they all play together. No one is selfish like how it is when Donovan Mitchell was on Jazz. It seemed like it was selfish play. Everything was Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, high pick and roll at the top of the key. That's what we're going to play. Now they share the basketball on the perimeter, and they actually get points for each and every last one of their players individually.
Okay, so, I agree with that. But I want to know, who's your sneaky team? Who's that sneaky team? I'm going to start off with the West. And
it got to be the Warriors.
I got the Lakers. And, okay, I understand, last night, the loss to the Clippers, that's not what you want to see. But you got to think about it. LeBron's just coming back. AD's been on a tear. He's been averaging 30 in these past few games. This was a back-to-back game. When you're having that output, you're putting up those stats in those minutes, you can't really expect, even though this was a big game, it had a lot of playoff implications, I do have to look at the fact that this is an older team. Like I said, this is a back-to-back. You usually don't want AD and LeBron playing on those back-to-backs a lot. So the Clippers were kind of built for this, and also, the Clippers shot from the three-point line. They shot the ball out the gym.
Russell Wilson was hitting them last night.
They're not going to do that every night. So looking at that, and I think it's still some room for optimism because even when they went down big, they came back. It was a terrible first half. LeBron was turning over the ball. Guys weren't in the places they needed to be. Couldn't hit shots. Couldn't shoot threes. Even though they're not really a three-point shooting team, it was just bad on top of bad. And the defense wasn't looking how I think it usually looks. Key thing I do want to talk about with this team, my X factor for the Lakers, I think Jared Vanderbilt. I look at his plus-minus last night. He had the highest plus-minus. Whenever he goes off the court, they're not a defensive team.
They're not.
So it's like he's diving for loose balls. He's making switches. He's rotating. And I think outside of that, he's going to have to play heavy minutes.
In the playoffs.
Yes.
That's like he did with the Timberwolves. They're going to put him on the best defender, Jared Vanderbilt. Long, athletic defender who can guard your best defender, not shut him down, but who can constantly harass him on the defensive end.
So who is your sneaky team?
I don't know how you forget the Warriors. How do you not say the Warriors?
I didn't forget the Warriors.
You just didn't say them?
Yeah.
You just didn't say them? The Lakers don't. The Lakers, ever since the Lakers, I really don't trust the Lakers anymore. I mean, I believe they can make a good run in the playoffs, but how do you forget the Warriors, almost the dynasty of this year's generation, of this year's decade? How do you forget that? No one out of these five teams that you named, who's made it farther than the Warriors? They've been there, done that.
This not the same Warriors team.
You can say that.
It's not.
I mean, they said the same thing last year, and look what happened.
It's not. But they had a better record. There was a lot of indications for that last year. This year, there's no indications of that.
Okay.
Because I look at Klay Thompson. When I watch the Warriors play basketball, seriously, when Draymond Green is off the court, it's a freestyle. I don't know. And like I said, people say Steve Kerr has the easiest job, and maybe he does because I think he's not doing it right now. They're just taking, and you can make the excuse, Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry, best shooters in the NBA. You can make that excuse. But they're shooting terrible shots. Jordan Poole shooting terrible shots. They don't really get to the free throw line because we think about it. This is a shooting team. So in the playoffs, they're not shooting the ball. And like I said.
But in the playoffs, it changed, though. They make their shots in the playoffs. We got history to go back on. They make their shots in the playoffs.
But you got to update that resume.
That's true.
How have they been shooting? Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry's still good for a night, but I think over a 7-game series. And we can even talk about it. Before last season, Stephen Curry wasn't the ultimate playoff performer. So I see them, and, to me, they're just a team. They're in the way. They're in the way of what I'm trying to do in the Western Conference because I think they probably can get me to 7 games. They probably can get me to 6 games, maybe. But I just don't think it's the same team. And you want to, have that sense of this is what I've done. This is my resume. But I can't. It wouldn't be fair to the teams who are playing good basketball.
The new team that's playing good basketball, yeah.
So who's your sneaky team in the East?
In the East, I did want to say the Knicks, but I don't trust Tom Thibodeau. I don't trust Tom Thibodeau. Darryl Green believes the New York Knicks are the team that's going to are the team to beat in the East. That surprised me. But for my team in the East, I probably would say, I want to say the Sixers so bad, bro. I love.
Are they really sneaky?
They're not sneaky, but I love Joel Embiid. I want to say the Heat. The Heat. Mike Spoelstra, when he gets into the playoffs, it's a different type of basketball. Jimmy Butler, as you said before, he wears on the team, but in the playoffs, he locks in. He has a good coaching staff. Mike Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in the league. He comes in, he's going to take away your best player in the playoffs. You're a Miami Heat native. You would know best. When you get to the playoffs, he's going to make it hard for your best player to score. It's going to be up to your role players to step up to the plate and play that good, playing a basketball. On the offensive end, I mean, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, they've played okay basketball, but they're starting to come of age as the season started to where Tyler Hero's starting to step up a little bit more compared to how he was in the past. So I have the Miami Heat as a sneaky team in the East.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. I hear that. I respect it. I do like Eric Spoelstra. I do like that team. Playoff Jimmy, all of that being said. But I'm not going away on the Knicks. I'm not going away on the Knicks because I think they got a star. And that star, watching these playoffs, Emmanuel Quickley is the name you need to keep listening to and looking for, because Jalen Brunson coming back healthy, Julius Randle being on this team, they have players. And I think in the playoffs, we're going to have to rely on offense. We're going to have to rely on our true elite scorers to get points when it's not easy, because Tom Thibodeau, they're not the best offensive team. No. They don't run the best offensive plays. We're going to have to depend on guys. And I think Quentin Grimes, RJ Barrett coming back. I can name up and down the list. Obi Toppin just had 30 last night. So I can name up and down this list guys who can score. I know they're going to defend. This is a sneaky team to watch out for, and they're that 5th seed, so they're going to play Cleveland in the first round. 2 teams, like I said, it depends on the elite scorers, because they both play defense. Cleveland's a little bit better on the defensive end, but they both play defense, and the offense is where they struggle. I don't think nobody wants to see the New York Knicks in the playoffs. That's just what I think, because you're going to have to defend. And say Jalen Brunson, he goes off for a night. Julius Randle, he has a night. It can be a multitude of guys on different nights. It doesn't have to be, it's not one scoring option. So that's what I think about the Knicks. That's why I have them as my sneaky team in the East.
I don't know. You know how I feel about the Knicks. I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. Tom Thibodeau is my head coach. He doesn't know how to run offense. He can have the best defense, and he don't know how to run offense. Point blank, period. Point blank. He doesn't know how to run offense. Yeah, you naming good stars. I'm going to pick it back off of my year when he was our head coach of 2011. He had MVP Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, Luol Deng, Carlos Boozer. I want to say Noah, great defender. Before he started to turn into the the offensive player that when Rose got hurt, he had 3 offensive players that can get you 20-15 each night. Still didn't know how to run offense. But we still had a top 5 defense every year though. But we did not know how to run offense. We never did. It always was, we're going to give it to the point guard, high pick and roll. If they trap, kick it to Boozer. They're going to slide over, kick it to Deng. That don't work in the playoffs. It doesn't. But one thing about Thibodeau, you're going to be good in rebounding with Mitchell Robinson. They have good forwards, but I don't trust the Knicks. I don't trust a Tom Thibodeau-led team in the NBA in the playoff. He doesn't know how to run offense, point blank, period.
Well, that is a good case and a great case to be made. Like I said, I don't have them going all the way, but I do think it's a sneaky team. Mm-hmm. And I do think if somebody gets on a run, Jalen Brunson has a playoff series out of his mind, I do think they can knock somebody out of the playoffs. I do think they can maybe have a magical run, like we saw with the Atlanta Hawks just a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's a team to watch out for in the Lakers. You can never count out LeBron James. I understand everything. But I think this is a different team since they got rid of Russell Westbrook. I look at those pieces they added in. They're playing defense now. The offense is looking better. The turnovers are down. They still got to shoot better from the free throw line. But like I said, you got AD, you got LeBron. You can go, the sky's the limit for those teams. And I think it's going to be really interesting looking into the playoffs as we get closer, as round 1 starts for these teams, because it's just a lot of ways that it can go.
Totally agree with you. I just don't agree with the Lakers. I agree with the Warriors more. You can't count out a dynasty. No matter, you cannot count what they did over this long period of run. Like you said, sports is what have you done for me lately, which is true. But I'm looking at all these teams in the West, and none of them has made it as far as the Warriors. Period. That's what I don't know how to say about that.
Well, this is a good point, a great point, one that I'm going to remember, and everybody that's watching can also remember, because when these playoffs start, when games start to get played, people start to lose, people start to win. We're going to come back to this same topic, and we're going to look to see who's correct, because like I said, I'm riding with the Lakers and I'm riding with the New York Knicks. So that's going to wrap it up for today. Those are our topics. Looking forward to what's happening in sports going on now. But thank you for watching today's episode of Game Point. I'm Daryl Green.
Travis Petty.